And first of all, I have a new computer. This is the first time I'm really capturing something with it. I'll probably do like an update on like stuff because it's February 28th when I'm filming this. So we're gonna do something I don't normally do, which is Hell's Kitchen stuff. Well, minus like streams and stuff I did before. So Eternal Possum does a lot of good Hell's Kitchen content. He actually commented on one of my Burn Search videos, which was 206. So I watched all his other stuff. So this is his ranking every season 13 chef. I watched a couple of the episodes. I'm rewatching a couple of seasons I've done. Some of the bad ones, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 17, and then I've watched a couple of mid seasons like 18, and then a lot of the early stuff, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm watching for 7. Then I'll be doing 13 again next. And I just have 5, 6, 12, 14, 9, and 10, 19, 20 left, because 21 and 24 In fact, we've done already have my opinion on those, so let's get started on this. I'm also using Bandicam to record because Streamlabs has echoey audio. So let's get started. I watched like a teeny bit of this. I know who's 18, but I don't know who the rest is.
Previously on Eternal Possum series where he ranks Hell's Kitchen chefs, he had recently been detained in Sir Cuddly's insane asylum in the aftermath of him watching Hell's Kitchen Season 11, prompting him to go on a rampage declaring that Alfredo Al Dente had become an eldritch deity that should be feared, and pissing off the Vatican, declaring him as a heretic. After watching Season 12, however, it appears his sanity had been restored, and he is scheduled for release as of today. Little does he know, he has one final hurdle to get through before he can move on to oh shit, that... fresh air. I haven't breathed that in so long. Who knew that in order to fix my severe insanity, all I need to do is watch Hell's Kitchen Season 12? It truly is a miracle season.
Yep.
Oh man, I forgot what food is like as well. I've been only eating slop for the past, 4 months? When did Season 11's video come out again?
Too long?
6 months ago. Wow, I need some actual food. Yeah, I'll have the chicken tenders. Yes, I know it's on the kids menu, but I don't care. I'm hungry. I'm 25 in human years, but as a channel, I'm only 10.
I see the
It's practically close enough.
Tenga or whatever her name is from the Sonic games.
You know, even with that little struggle, I feel pretty good. I'm finally out of the asylum. I don't need to watch Season 11 again. I'm coming off Season 12. Season 14's right around the corner.
Then you have 2 shit seasons. Sorry, 3 shit seasons.
I actually feel pretty good.
I like the Robotnik in the background. Or the Eggman.
Alright. You. At least it isn't Kimmy's rap. Hell's Kitchen 13. I'm gonna be real, guys. This has always been a season that I've never had a whole lot to say about.
That's fair.
I just found it to be kind of meh and left it at that. It's a season that I could get through relatively fine, but it's never been a season that stuck out to me. And I think that's how fans tend to see the season. Unlike Season 12, where after rewatching it, I could at least safely confirm it was a really great season with a lot to talk about, Season 13 just kind of stayed the same.
It exists.
It started kind of meh, and it ended kind of meh. Not bad by all means. I can name at least 3 seasons weaker than this one, and not have to default to seasons 11,
I can name multiples.
16, or 17. But I think the best way to describe this season is very unremarkable, even if it does have its highlights. Also not helping matters is that this season is sandwiched between Season 12, a season that, like I mentioned earlier, is generally considered to be the only good 20 Chef season, and Season 14, a season that is considered one of the most talented of all time. Needless to say, Season 13 got completely middle child to the extent that my Fire Stick refused to play it. Yeah, it'll play Season 11 just fine, but it couldn't be asked to try playing Season 13.
You can only play trash.
My phone just randomly high.
Wait, I want to see what that says.
Playing Season 13.
Why can't this something? Jokes, notes. Oh, he's man. They don't. There's a threat. Someone pissed on the floor. Oh, this was season
My phone just randomly
24.
hiding my notes, so that meant I had to run the risk of rewatching the season entirely just to get some notes down, and I felt like I was a child in the middle of a very ugly divorce. And it's
He
weird
lost
because
like half his notes or something.
I feel like season 13 does have things that should work.
Yeah, it's
It's the
talented.
first season to lean heavily into the talent aspect. It's got drama. It's got people being stupid. It's got everything you come to Hell's Kitchen for. Yet, outside of a few moments, this season rarely ends up getting discussed. So, why is that? Well,
I
if you
think on my tier list, I put in like C tier.
ask me, I'd say it's mostly because of the cast. Back when I talked about talent versus drama, I mentioned that while season 13 leaned way more into the talent side of things, it didn't really do much to make things interesting, and the cast is easily one of the bigger examples of this.
It's fair,
While there
yeah.
are a few exceptions, the majority of this cast is really, really bland. To the extent I don't know if I consider this on the level of season 11's cast. On one hand, season 13 does have some notable standout
Yeah.
chefs, with one chef being easily one of the most beloved
Sterling.
in the show's history, and even excluding that, there are at least 5 other chefs I could say I like more than most of the season 11 cast.
Okay, let me see. Latasha, Bryant, Sade, Fernando. I have no idea who else. Part of me wants to say Ashley, but not really.
However, the majority of this cast...
They exist.
Most of them fall into the pit of being such a who are you to the
Oh,
extent
Frank,
I don't
that's
think
the air
I'd be
guy.
able to pick him out of a lineup after my house was broken into, or being extremely boring. A lot of Hell's Kitchen fans say that season 13's first 6 boots are really forgettable, but I go as far as to say that most of this cast is forgettable. Really, there's only like 6 chefs I'd say I outright like this season, and only 6. So that means not only will I probably be really sure of all these descriptions and my thoughts on them, but that also means most of this cast will be in D tier at best. So, sorry if you like any of these guys. Anyways, rules as usual.
Worst is
There
gonna
are
be
some
Steve.
chefs
I
I
know,
want to
I
have
seen
segments
that.
don't go on for
I
a
don't know who the
particularly
rest
long
is.
time, and it's mainly because I've either talked about them before, or I don't have much to say about them. I'll try to talk about why I feel some way about them, but don't be surprised if some segments don't go on for a while when it comes to some of them, because my feelings on them may not be the most complex.
That's fair.
Second, any jokes I make at the expense of chefs are really just that. I seriously do
All the
not
chefs are alive to my knowledge, and they haven't done anything criminal.
have a real life issue with them, and it's why I'm not going for personal insults. Third, I'm not going to be incorporating anything they did out of the show. I'm only ranking stuff they did on the
Unless
show
you're
and nothing else.
the
Unless they
creep.
did some particularly heinous stuff, I'm only keeping it relegated to their time on the show. If I start talking about stuff they did out of the show, I feel like I'd be
Again, I can hear me
some
better.
genuine pros to them, and I'd rather not be biased in that aspect. Finally, this is all my opinion. This isn't one of those objective ranking videos where I bring up stuff like talent or records or anything like that. This is all just me saying I like this chef more than this other chef.
That's fair.
Of course, that means there's probably some chef you'll disagree with me on placement, and that's
I probably
totally
will.
fine. You're
We'll
allowed
have
to
to
have your
see.
opinions. With all that squared away, let's rank the chefs of Hell's Kitchen Season 13.
Rev up those fryers, cause I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help! My leg!
Oh, Steve.
This asshole. Yeah, I can agree with him. This being last place. Because I knew it was going to be him or someone forgettable. Yeah, also for context, I saw this part, I think that was it. Because when this was premiering, I was working.
Man, oh man. I'm already dreading talking about you because that means I have to talk about the 13th thruple.
Oh yeah,
So, this
Santos,
season had something that
Aaron,
was
and
kind of interesting. You
Steve.
know how some Hell's Kitchen seasons have villain alliances? From the RTK trio in season 10, to Joy and Keisha in
That
season
season?
12, to Jen, Roseanne, and pre-redemption Corey
I
in
just
season 4.
rewatched. I just watched that
taking
season.
aside the very different receptions to these alliances, have you noticed something about the examples I mentioned? They all come from the red team. We've never, up to this point, had a straight-up villain alliance that came from the blue team. Sure, you could say that Ben from Season 4 had one with Bobby, but Bobby wasn't really a villain in that sense, and even then,
Ben just kissed Bobby's ass the entire time.
Ben sucked at it so badly that it barely even counts. So having a straight-up alliance that came from the blue team that had the goal of sabotaging everyone was actually kind of interesting. Even though these guys were not the strongest chefs and had no chance of winning, they had potential to really shake up the show in ways not seen since Michael all the way back in Season 1. It'd be a test to see how much they could get away with. Even if some of their plans backfired, the fallout surely had to be interesting. And guess what? They went on a tirade, eliminating competition
Yes,
left
they
and
clearly
right,
did.
pulling the wool over everyone's eyes, and even making Ramsey look like a complete schmuck throughout most of it. They were practically invincible, and they were pulling
No,
off
they
stunts
weren't.
so
Don't
amazing that people
freaking
were
lie.
saying that if this were Survivor, they'd be winning the season easily. But why is the leader of the 13th thruple, Steve, so low?
That's what she said is BS.
Well, it's because I lied, and
Yeah.
you look like a damn fool. Because what I just said is not what happens. Instead, they try to put people, but they end up surviving because someone else performed terribly and they're barely called
Yeah,
out
one
for it.
person went
One
home.
time they succeed in getting someone out, it comes at the cost of Steve going up. But I know what you're thinking. They got someone now. Surely it has to be someone who's a major threat, right? It's JR.
Yep.
Just ridiculous. Oh yeah, I gotta talk about Steve, who is the worst of the 13th thruple in my opinion. All he
He's
really
a
did
jerk
was
to
complain about
Sterling.
Sterling and tell Aaron and Santos to stop chasing butterflies and work for the plan before getting eliminated. I'll admit I do feel bad for him getting injured like that, especially because a few seasons ago
Unlike frickin' Flynn.
we had two chefs who got injured and made it into the finals, and one of them had a leg injury. But seeing as how Steve had never been that consistent, there's a part of me that feels like he wouldn't have lasted too much longer anyways, even if he's kind of meant to be the main villain. Oh what? Main villain? What do you mean by that?
He's a
I'll
jerk.
tell you in a moment. He's honestly the most annoying part of a plotline that simultaneously
Yes.
disappoints me because I was really interested to see where it went, and irritates me because I know deep down this plotline would never work, because this is season 13, and what we got instead was the equivalent of the Three Stooges. Outside of that, however, I mean, I don't like him, but I don't hate him. Honestly, the most I could get on him for stuff outside of the Alliance is that he shit-talks Sterling a bit too much. I kinda get it, because even I'll admit that Sterling can be a bit much, and from what I heard, Sterling tried to force his religion on Steve, which, yeah, that get really annoying. But I just wish he wasn't defined by that. As such, he's just kind of annoying to me and also bland at the same time. A pretty bad combo that somehow isn't enough to put him in F tier.
What's next? Oh yeah, she's like. Okay, before I watch what he's gonna say. Yeah, the only thing I remember about Ro was Jennifer crapped shit talked her the entire time, even though she literally didn't do a damn thing to her. She was mediocre as hell in challenges. And of all people, they brought her back for rookies versus veterans, despite, every other black jacket being better. And yet, people like me forget she's in the damn season. Because I rewatched season 18 like a few months ago. The only things I remember were during Gordon's daughter's birthday, she screwed up and then went home that night. She was in the Cook for Your Life challenge the episode before, and then Mia picked her first for her team despite being one of the worst picks. And really freaking almost tanked her service. Yeah, I don't remember a damn thing about her.
Bro, God, she's so boring. Like, holy shit, she is so dull that I genuinely don't know where to begin with her. Let's see, well, she's apparently the villain of the season, I guess, but she has the personality of tinfoil. Most of her villainy is spent abusing Men in Black technologies so she can avoid nomination a lot at the start of the season.
And yet she got nominated 6 damn times.
Like, everyone's talking about bad services and immediately Ro fucking evaporates. Like, guys, she's right there. Hello? She also has an ego, but nothing is funny about it, so she feels more like a drive-by ego check. Perhaps most egregious of all is that in spite of her having this view of Jennifer, she barely feels relevant. Maybe it's just me, because I barely remember anything about this season, but she feels like a villain who's constantly detached from the plot. God's sake, Santos is more plot relevant than her, and he's spending most of the time making snarky comments while putting a metal bowl in the microwave. Oh, and remember what I said about Steve, about how he's meant to be the main villain? Well, Well, I have this theory that Steve was sort of set up to be the main villain of sorts, making it to around the top 8, but his leg injury derailed that, so instead, we just shoehorn in Rose so she could be the villain. But really outside of feeling the most antagonistic, she barely feels like a main villain. I swear, don't you dare tell me that Rose is the main villain.
She's
if
not.
You do, I'll straddle you and claw you until you're nothing but cartilage.
Jesus
Gee,
Christ.
that felt really hostile. Holy shit, I mean, I don't loathe Ro. She's not F tier by any means. I just find her really bland. Wow. Man, I did not have a lot to say about her. Watch Psyche K. It's really funny.
Sade needs to go home. She's too in your face.
So I kind of already talked about Katie in my Dumbest Decisions video, so I'm just going to restate what I said for her previously. She starts out well, albeit lacking screen time, and then she decides, hey, I should grow up in spite of Ro having more issues than me, and me hating Sade because she's loud as shit, even though that's hella sus to say. Then she goes home because she can't handle conflict. Honestly, this segment is where I'm going to point out the biggest problem that a few of the chefs have this season, is that a lot of them don't get much screen time until they're practically on their way out the door.
Yeah.
Katie just so happens to be one of them, and it's like, she started out fine, decent all things considered, but man, she just doesn't get much time to really stand out. And by the time she does start to stand out, it's when 1, she's being really sus in her hatred towards Sade, and 2, she's practically cemented for elimination. Forgettable, and painfully so.
I think I should stay in Hell's Kitchen because I only had 2 bad services out of 5.
Kaylin?
Honestly, much of my problems with Katie can also apply to Kaylin.
Wasn't that also during, like, I still remember during, like, the Family Night service, that was, like, one of the better services of the season. And I think, like, 2 or 3 people screwed up. And then Ram's like, I'm super disappointed by you guys. You guys should have done better. And yet frickin' season 8 Family Night was a complete crapshoot with everyone messing up multiple times. And he's like, that was the best service we ever had.
Fine if a bit on the weaker
well, that
side,
season, but still.
Her ego starts to get too big and she winds up eliminated. Even after Katie says, Lamau, I should go up because Sade blew out my eardrums and I wasn't sure if they said Katie and Kaylin are the nominees or if they said Kaylin and Kaylin, which doesn't make any sense, but I missed the part when they went through mitosis. Oh yeah, and Kaylin also has it even worse than Katie because she doesn't even get a chance to start standing out before already being on her way out the door. You wanna know why? She doesn't get a single confessional before episode 3.
Wow.
She's nominated and therefore already on her way out. Holy crap, I have never seen a show actively not care about a chef. Like, at all. It's impressive, and I feel
Then you had Ellie later on in the most recent season.
bad for her
Well, also Mark in his season 15 episode.
if I had a reason to care in the first place.
JR! Yes, sir. Just ridiculous!
I'm just gonna start off by saying that having
JR's
JP and JR
okay.
this season pisses me off so much. It's like I'm trying to choose my favorite child, except neither of them are my favorite child, let alone my child, and it's because I'm barren. JR doesn't really have a lot to talk about. He bails on the first punishment and calls the red team females. Then after he winds up as one of the prime targets of the Frupple, he gets eliminated. On his way out the door, he tries being likable by saying Sterling is cool. Shush. Don't you try
Yeah, that's what I remember. It's like Sterling, I love you, make it 100. The rest of you can go F yourself.
being likable out the door. You've lost your chance, buddy. Only good things about him is saying that Brian lost his libido and saying it's weird to help others with their meat. Forgettable, boring, and above all, just ridiculous.
Only Chef Ramsay can take something that looks like a dildo and turn it into
Janae?
a $150 plate.
Holy shit, this list is so cursed. Seriously guys, it's only dawning on me now that this list is absolutely cursed. I feel like the further down we go, I'm running the risk of summoning some kind of eldritch deity. Anyways, Janae doesn't have that much to talk about. She's weak from the beginning and doesn't last long after overcooking a risotto by 10 minutes and thinking that's her only mistake. Aside from having some kind of funny quotes like saying that gooey ducks look like dildos and hugging Wolfgang Puck, she's one of the most forgettable chefs in the show's history.
Well, she's also a second
doing a
boot.
mean-ass cartwheel though. That's pretty cool. Just wish I could have seen it.
Have you ever wanted to punch yourself in the face?
Ooh,
Janine?
I have a feeling I'm gonna piss
Janine?
some people off with this take, but let me go over
I'm sorry, below Janine. Wow, okay.
Ashley, and then I'll talk about why she's this slow.
Okay.
So Ashley starts off fairly decent, being one of the better chefs of the red team. She's not quite to the level of the likes of Latasha, Jennifer, and Sade, but she's a fairly decent chef all things considered, and combine that with her getting a fair amount of screen time, she seems destined to make it semi-far. Unfortunately, after she serves raw calamari to the Italian consulate, which I'm shocked no one mentions that because holy shit, that's not a table you want to mess up on, she gets eliminated on her first nomination despite Steve, Aaron, and Ro having more issues. I guess it's pretty bullshit, but the Italian consulate thing I'd say justifies it enough for me.
Personally, I think Fernando's more unfair, even though Flynn has a different opinion. Also, didn't Flynn put her, like, super high up on his list? Like, okay, let me actually see where the hell we put him. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we have Steve is last, then Aaron, then Janine, then Katie, then JP, Janine, Kaylin, Santos, Fernando's 10 for some reason, Bryant's 9, JR is 8 somehow, 7 is Ro, 6 is Ashley, then you have Jennifer, Frank, Natasha, Sade, and Sterling, okay. Okay, how is frickin' Ro this damn high up, and how is JR frickin' number 8? Flynn doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
So, Ashley I've seen be labeled as fairly popular for having some snarky confessionals. Historically, I've always liked snarky confessionals.
Yeah.
They're often some of the funniest parts of the season.
Anthony.
And based on how a lot of the chefs who could be seen
Barbie.
as snarky are some of the most quoted, a lot of fans seem to be in agreement. Hell's Kitchen also knows this because every season there's at least one dedicated snarker who's destined to make it far into the season.
Jason.
Season 7 had Jason, Season 8 had Trev, Season 9 had Will, 10 had Barbie, 11 had Anthony. You get the point. Hell's Kitchen has
12 had, I guess, Melanie or Jason.
always had snarky chefs, and they are often seen as some of the biggest highlights of the season. The thing is, however, they usually limit it to one chef. On occasion, they'll have more than one snarker, but for the most part, those chefs had their own little edits that showed off other facets of their personality. For example, Paul from Season 9, I argue, is pretty close to Will in terms of snarking,
Yeah.
but he's also a bit of a ham and thus kind of falls into more of the hammy snarker rather than Will's deadpan snarker. The problem with Ashley for me is that she's on a season where she has to compete with Sade, Jennifer, and Santos for snark
Yeah.
points. And those three make it all the way into the Black Jackets, while Ashley doesn't even make the top 10. Hell, even if she were to make the top 10, she's still having to compete with 3 other chefs for Snarker of the season. And combined that with her early elimination and barely having much of a personality, it leaves her as extremely bland for me. I wouldn't say it's Ashley's fault. I chalk it up more to the season making a cast that goes hella overboard on the snarky commentary.
She did come back for the final service at least, so that was nice.
But when you have to compete with 3 of the biggest personalities of the season, and all of them are consistently funnier than you, and make it further than you by, like, a lot, you have about as much of a chance of standing out as AI Hell's Kitchen channels being talented.
Oh, frick that
I'd
channel.
love to be a Michelin star chef, and I don't think winning Hell's Kitchen is actually going to get me any closer.
Oh,
to my
frickin'
goal.
Aaron.
Yeah, if it isn't clear by now that I'm struggling to talk about people, I don't know what is. Aaron is a chef that I'm more than a little surprised is up this high, especially considering
Sam,
he's not
honestly?
a very well liked chef. I'll get into why that is, but we gotta talk about the bad because, oh boy, there's bad.
He's an
part
asshole.
of the 13th throuple that works just about as well as my granddad's niece, for example, and he's overly arrogant, he's annoying, he's a kiss ass, and he's kinda boring. Like, damn, not good. But why is he up this high? Well, it's mainly for a few things. Well, 2 things.
He's quit.
First is the argument he gets into with Bryant, which I'll admit is more of a plus to Bryant than anything because it's the most unintentionally hilarious argument the show has ever had. That being said, Aaron had his time to shine in that argument, and while it ended with him quitting, I can't say it wasn't fun. Then there was episode 5. I just thought he was kind of funny in it. The reward especially, like, he gave me some good laughs. Oh, I guess I should also bring up his quit, and if you ask me,
Well, he was gonna go home no matter what, because, I mean, that was, like, Brian's first time up for elimination. This was, like, I'm pretty sure his second or third time.
kinda mixed on it. On one hand, I could totally see the idea for Aaron quitting because he was about to be eliminated, and in fact, that's what some of the chefs said as Aaron quit. On the other hand, Aaron's apparently traveled a lot over the country, and from there being quite a few instances of Hell's Kitchen winners not taking up the position due to it not being what they signed up for, or just straight up not getting the job at all, maybe what he said about not achieving his goals in Hell's Kitchen has some truth to it? I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. But yeah, outside of those two moments, Aaron's really not that good.
I'm
Yeah,
actually a professional Quidditch player.
that's
I'm
the wrong person.
Sorry again. I'm aware that Fernando is one of the more popular chefs of the season.
I
and
like
trust
him.
me, I tried. I really tried to like him, but I'm sorry, he's just so under-edited it hurts. I can't even really say that much about him aside from him starting off kind of weak, but then getting
In his
much
bullshit
better.
elimination.
Like, okay, he improves, and he doesn't do anything wrong, but he also doesn't do anything that interesting either. It's like every time he appears, I go, oh yeah, Fernando, you're still here. Even got to the point where I could actually call his elimination from a mile away, just like Katie and Kaylin. The moment he started getting more screen time, I knew he was on his way out the door. I'm gonna be honest, he gets the editing the worst. Like, this guy made it to 8th place, barely stood out, and all culminate in an admittedly bullshit elimination.
Yeah, because you literally had Santos up for elimination, and he didn't even lead his freaking course. It's like, okay, Bryant said, hey, you're gonna do everything, and it cuts to him in the dining room spending like 4 hours explaining what the hell the course is and explaining like basically giving a freaking Wikipedia article on it.
Come on, even if you like Fernando, you have to admit he was subject to some booty-ass editing right there.
I need to rewatch season 13, see how bad it is.
I have to reiterate, I really wanted to like Fernando. I did. I want to see what people enjoy about him. But I just can't when there's so little of him. It's like trying to squeeze blood from a stone, or squeeze blood from a turnip, or squeeze blood from a baby. The point is that I was just not given enough time to know Fernando. I'm sorry.
JP!
Yes, Chef.
Just
There we go, there he is.
Oh hey look, it's JP. I'm glad to see he's sticking around. Oh. Well,
Nope.
shit. I'm not sure what I'm more disappointed by. The fact it's contestant JP instead of maitre d' JP, or the fact I can't use the transition joke I had in mind because I already used it for Fernando and Tad. JP immediately starts off when he makes Hell's Kitchen history and finishes his dish early, something he isn't a stranger to on account of the fact he has a kid. Then during dinner service he acts like he's got the energy of a dead sloth and barely cares, tries to blame Aaron, and that gets eliminated right after, although he tried to slip out of it by trying to go back in line. What a fucking goober. Honestly, outside of his signature dish, I find JP to be mostly forgettable. Not the most forgettable, I can name maybe a
Then why is
few
he
that are
number
more
9?
forgettable if I can remember them, but overall I just find JP to have very little to talk about. This is becoming a running theme. Christ.
At this point, my strategy will stick to me being about me.
So
Nina?
Deneen is
Oh, okay.
actually kind of interesting to me, if only because she gets a tiny bit of a narrative. She starts out alright, making a dish that seems to be bad on paper, but gets a decent score, and she doesn't make mistakes during the first
Whenever the 10-minute limit, sorry, I had to back up for a few seconds.
narrative. She starts out alright, making a dish that seems to be bad on paper, but gets a decent score, and she doesn't make mistakes during the first service. So far, off to a strong start. And then she has a bad night on fish and gets nominated, but she's like, how dare you put me up over my fluke performance, even though I didn't serve any fluke tonight. You know what? It's all about me now. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Wait, no! I can never do that goddamn voice again. And then she gets eliminated because of her lack of experience and giving up on the team, but not without having a pretty decent elimination comment. It's an admittedly really short arc, but I say for an arc lasting 3 episodes, we get just enough to have some faith in Deneen before she goes out early.
Yeah.
That being said, I'll admit I'm kinda cursed with knowledge. As alright as Deneen's plot here is, there is an infinitely better version of her later down the road. Like,
Yeah.
way later down the road. And by down the road, we're talking several seasons later. Plus, when I did mention having some faith in Deneen, let's be honest, she was never winning. She had absolutely no chance this season, even if she was on a pretty solid red team. Also, she's still kind of forgettable. She's just less forgettable than the others I mentioned earlier. Decent arc, but overall, still bland.
Like we just
Right
have
now,
here.
I'm stoked, dude. I have a awesome palette and
Oh,
I
Santos?
can smell shit from a mile away.
Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite member of the 13th throuple by far is Santos.
Yep.
And now I'm going to show you the crowd of people outside who are likely surprised to hear this.
Nobody.
Santos is someone that I can split up into two parts of his run. There's his time where he's solo, where he caught my eye as someone having some mildly funny confessionals. Not drop dead hilarious, but they're not bad. Then there's his time in the 13th throuple, where he just absolutely tanks in terms of overall likability.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he's not as bad as Aaron and Steve, but he is not that fun to watch. It's especially worse mainly because for some reason, his confessionals just stop being that funny. Like, this guy gets a lot of confessional time, meaning he's set up to be one of the major personalities of the season, and his delivery of the lines are decent, but the problem is that he's got the charisma of a rock while simultaneously sounding like Ben Shapiro. Fortunately, he does get better when he stops the Alliance, and come the Black Jackets, he's back to having some pretty funny lines. But it also
then he
marks
goes
the point
home.
where he goes home for not doing anything. And he doesn't even get a best of montage because fuck you, that's why.
Yep.
God, Santos just in concept is someone that I should adore, or at the very least like. He's snarky, he makes it far into the season, he's got a bit of a redemption arc, and I say he does end on a better note than when he starts on. But he just went through too long of a drought where he wasn't interesting, wasn't likable, and had the humor of a funeral home. Man, just, this is painful. Not as painful as season 11, but man, this cast was so bad. Please give me someone I like. I'm begging you. Please. Please. Oh God, please.
Rat shit, bat shit, dirty old twat. 69 assholes tied in a knot.
Oh, hey,
What?
look, someone I like. Jennifer's admittedly not
Oh.
someone I have too much to say about. I just really enjoy her. Not as much as others, but I still like her. She's honestly someone who I see a lot of Robin of season 10 in, and while that might sound like a criticism, it really isn't. When I see Robin
Yeah.
in her, I mean the funny side
Well,
of
Robin
Robin.
sucks.
The Robin that I actually really like. Because holy shit, Jennifer is actually really funny. Not the funniest chef of the season, not by a long shot, but she's got some pretty fun quotes, especially when it comes to how she talks shit about Ro. I swear, she's such a mood.
Yeah, my favorite thing is during like the Moosh Boost challenge, Ro gets like a 4 out of 10, and then she talks shit on her like, oh, you're gonna cost another challenge or something. And then she gets a damn 5 because she leaves the freaking giant ass prawn head on.
Also, when she gets angry, she can beat out Jev in terms of soliloquy. It's that impressive. I love her quotes. I also have to give her props to bouncing back after having to go to the hospital twice in one season. Like, damn, that's hardcore. Anyway, yeah, that's all I really have to say about Jennifer. Not a whole lot, but from her confessionals that would cause a churchgoer to favor how many F-bombs she drops, to her fight, I like her.
Aaron.
I have the high ground.
So, I'll admit that these two are really interchangeable as of this moment. I tend to go back and forth on which chef I like more, and I can't really decide. So, for
Yeah, we have Latasha, Sade, Brian, Sterling. I'm not sure who else the other one is.
all intents and purposes, consider these two tied. Anyway, Bryant is someone that I didn't really
Frank.
expect to like
That's
as
who
much
it
as
was.
I do. I mean, he has a temper, he hates Sterling, and it looks like what would happen if a cardigan gained sentience and put on a chef jacket.
Well, Brian
Needless
got
to
better.
say, there was a lot working against him at the start of the season. Then as the season progressed, I realized something. Bryant is the perfect straight man. I'll be honest,
Yep.
a lot of his highs are primarily based on his friendship with Sterling. Them play off each other extremely well, and it honestly makes for not only Sterling's best interaction of the season, but it also helps me see the positives that Bryant has, because man oh man, he has quite a few of them.
He was actually
There's
really good and a decent a comeback chef or improved chef or whatever the hell you want to call it.
so many moments I can point to that just show off how funny he is. There's him wondering if they were going to avoid a stabbing. There's him thinking he was going to die when Ramsey took him out to the woods. There's pretty much every single interaction he has with Sade, which might be a close second in terms of favorite interaction he has. I swear to you guys, pair Bryant up with someone like Trev or Tommy, and you'll get gold. However, his funniest moment by far
Yep.
is his argument with Aaron, if only because it feels like the most hilariously scripted argument I've ever seen. Like, seriously, look at this guy and listen to him. Him awkwardly calling out Aaron, getting mad at Sade, calling him sweetie, randomly saying Fernando should go up, and then to top it all off, calling himself more dominant than Aaron. I swear, this might be one of the funniest scenes in the show's history. It's up there of Go Back to the Grocery Store for me. It's that good. I also like his development where he gets gradually more friendlier towards his team and loses a lot of the attitude. It's pretty nice. The only other thing I have to know about him is that I personally don't know if he should have made the finals.
That's fair, Sade should have made it.
I can see the argument for it based on how much of a tear he went on during Black Jackets, but I felt Sade overall did better on the pass.
She got
Either way, it
frickin'
didn't
robbed.
matter much because both will have lost to Latasha anyways. But yeah, even him making it into the finals isn't going to put a dent in my enjoyment of him. All it's going to really do is just prove he's not as dominant as 4 other chefs.
Chef Ramsay,
Yep.
be real quiet on Dog 15.
Yeah, because I've eaten so many dogs' dinners.
So this
Oh,
season has
Sade.
quite a few chefs that fall under the snarky category, and for the most part, I'd say
Freaking
we
love
got a
Sade
pretty
this
mixed
season.
bag. While I say chefs like Jennifer or Bryant are funny, chefs like Ashley and Santos just don't quite match up to them. However, there is one exception to this, and it's easily my favorite snarker of the season, in Sade. Sade was a chef I never really had too much to say about because it's season 13, where the season can be summed up with, oh yeah, that happened. And for a while, that's why I thought about Sade. She was just fine, not terrible, but nothing spectacular even. Hell, for the most part, all I remembered about her was her decision to make dog food during a challenge,
She also had 7 frickin' punishments in a row.
which was very close to being on the worst decisions list, but I left it off because the dish needed to be dropped, so she lucked out. That being said, rewatching this season, I have to admit that I really like Sade. She takes a bit to get going, but after she sasses the hell out of Jennifer, she really takes off, because Sade is the master of dress downs. Seriously, Jennifer Snark, for example, is mostly safe for hating Ro and her entire bloodline. Sade's Snark is safe for dress down so deep it affects her target's DNA structure. No wonder Katie wussed out. Sade can read her like a book. She also has a bit of a storyline where she gets put on punishment after punishment
Yep.
despite being switched to a new team and not doing much wrong. Save for the dog food, but again, dish was dropped. It's easy to feel bad for her and want to see her succeed, much of the same way you want to see John from season 11 succeed. In the end, despite having a perfect past performance, Sade ends up placing 3rd. Yeah,
Which is still
I
BS.
still don't know why she got booted here. Maybe Brian's hot streak during the Black Jackets gave him the edge, but still. Anyway, I like Sade. Not as much as the others, but she's still good. Only thing that keeps her out of the top 3 is that she takes a tiny bit to get going, and I'd say there's other chefs that held my attention a bit more. But I like Sade. You know, seeing her serve dog food makes me remember that there's a new Air Bud movie coming out.
Oh no.
Holy shit. Personally, I'd love if it was a great biopic on the merger of sports and the gambling industry, and how Air Bud was disgraced for betting against his own team.
Chef Ramsay says that we're lackadaisical. As soon as I find out what that means,
You know, like he's gonna talk about Latasha more than frickin' Flynn has.
I'm gonna make sure that I'm never that way again.
Well, it's about time we get to talk about the winner of the season in Latasha, and she's admittedly someone that, much like the season as a whole, I don't really have a whole lot to say about.
Never mind.
She's a dominant chef who pretty much steamrolls the entire competition whilst having a likable personality. She's got some pretty fun
She
quotes,
did
like her
well
wondering
on
what
challenges,
lackadaisical
too.
means, and her contributing to Sterling's rap video, and that's really all the positives I
Ah.
have to say about her. Yeah, as much as I like her, there are at least 2 issues I have with her. The first issue I have with Latasha is that she is very style over substance. She's likable and she's a beast in the kitchen, but she doesn't really have a whole lot to note about her run.
That's fair.
She has a bad signature dish, and from there, she practically runs away with the competition. She is literally the hydrogen bomb against 17 coughing babies. And that leads into my other problem with Latasha, is that I find her to be a very obvious winner. She's not very flawed, she's very strong in the kitchen, she can lead, she's likable, it's pretty obvious she's gonna win.
Yeah.
And look, I'm okay with obvious winners. I really am.
Alex.
and Megan, for example, are pretty obvious winners, and yet they're generally considered to be some of the best winners
And Heather
in the
as
show's
well.
history. The difference is, though, is that in addition to being likable, the 2 of them had storylines. They had journeys that made us root for them and get us more invested in
Alex
them.
had him line
Latasha
punishments.
is likable, yes, but she doesn't really have a story. As such, she comes off as a bit of a basic winner. Latasha is the glass of water of Hell's Kitchen winners. It's fine on its own, but there's better options above it, and if you're below it, then there's a problem because you cannot breathe underwater. Fortunately, her being really likable throughout the whole season does make up for it just enough to push her into the top 3.
Hey, a note!
I mean, to be fair, that's more than frickin' Flynn talked about her the entire season. Forgettable winners, so I give you credit there.
Yeah, but turn it over. There's a letter.
Oh,
You're right.
Frank.
I'm gonna be honest, guys.
Hey, Frank.
Deciding the number 1 spot was way harder than it had any right to be.
Really?
For the longest time, I thought the pick was obvious. It was set in stone. However, watching the season back, I realized it was way closer than expected, to the extent I was thinking there was going to be a shock upset. In the end, I decided that the number 2 spot would go to a member of the blue team. This member was someone who would go on to switch to the red team, have a performance on said team that was
Frank.
so bad it resulted
It's
in
gotta
them
be
being
Frank.
eliminated right after service, and finally play a massive role in Brian's final service.
It's Frank.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the number 2 spot is going to go to someone that I thought would run away with this.
Frank.
Someone that, you might say, was 100% guaranteed. The number 2 spot belongs to
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Did I get you? Please tell me I got you. I remember watching season 13 for the first time.
Frank
and
was good,
was
though.
one
I
of the
liked
few
him.
chefs that heavily stuck out to
He
me.
wasn't great, but I liked him.
cannot even tell you how much I adore this guy. Seriously, this guy gives me such severe brain rot. You ever want to know what it would be like if Kronk entered Hell's Kitchen? This guy is a himbo, and I love him to the extent I have no idea on where to be. Seriously, you should see the notes I have on him. It's a lot. Frank from the start is pretty much not destined to win. He's ditzy, not that bright, he's weak on the line. Watching him is like giving your dog the best day ever before you put him down because you know he's not winning. Yet regardless, he's super charming and of course, super funny. There are so many moments I can point to just show this off. There's him walking to Hell's Kitchen with the floaty, his bad hair day during the 5th episode, him wanting to roll the dice again because it's fun to roll, him dressing up as Kazuma Kiryu. God, I love this guy! And he looks like the type of guy that throws something off a boat in the middle of the ocean and somehow missed the water. Yeah, I'll be honest, I know I sound like I'm picking on him, but I'm only roasting him out of love. I also gotta talk about his final episode because it's just fantastic. First, there's the note he writes to thank Ramsay, which is just the perfect embodiment of Frank. It's a bit awkward, but it's sweet, and it makes you ask questions about him that are going to be answered pretty quickly.
He wasn't
Is he
a
gonna
suck
bounce
up, at least.
back? No. Is he going to have the heart to bounce back? Also no. Is he going to go out with dignity? No times 3. Oh man, his elimination. God, it's so good. For as much shit as I give a lot of the season for the editing, they really cooked with Frank's elimination.
I mean, I'll say this, at least he was able to... At least he took his elimination like a champion. He's like, you know what, I screwed up. And I screwed over my team. I deserve to go home, not some other frickin' people.
Ramsay calling everyone back, the music ramping up as Gordon talks about Steve's elimination earlier, the cuts to Frank as he realizes what's about to happen, and then the look of defeat when Ramsay announces that someone will still be going home. Hold on, this editing is fire? Great job, editors! I love Frank. I adore this man so much. From his ditzy demeanor to his amazing elimination, I'm almost depressed over the fact I'm not putting him at number 1. The reason for that?
We
It
all
was
know.
practically written in the stars. 100% guaranteed.
Yep.
I'm always 100.
What's his 100?
I'm 100%.
Okay,
Yep.
100%, right.
To the surprise of absolutely no one else,
Sterling.
number 1 pick is... Yeah, number 1 is Sterling. Like, come on now. It's Sterling. Of course he'd be number 1. Even with Frank breathing down his neck looking like he's about to lose his hand in a steel mill incident, Sterling was always going to be number 1, and I don't think I really need to say why. Sterling from the very start stands out against all the rest because he's always 100, and it turns out 100% means he's just insanely fun to watch. Unfortunately, while he's fun to watch,
Yeah, everyone's an
while
asshole.
he's passionate, not everyone feels the same way. In spite of him having some clear talent, he's outcast pretty quickly. Easily the most vocal about it is Steve, and like I mentioned earlier, he does have reason to at least be annoyed with Sterling. I'd probably be annoyed too at how energetic he is, but man, it gets old. Fortunately, Sterling's antics are too endearing, and after he gets switched to the red
Tasha was
team,
nice to
he
him,
ends
at
up
least.
being his fun self and win over the remaining competition until he gets eliminated after service. A pretty decent storyline for him, where he defies expectations and gets further than expected despite being mostly comedic. And speaking of comedic, Sterling is really funny. Him singing about wanting to poke Aaron's eyes out, him having the coconut bra, him having the music video about risotto, him channeling his inner Sisyphus Prime and electrocuting the screen. It's pretty clear the editors love this guy, and I can see why a lot...
You mentioned you see in the finale, I still remember, like, Fernando, the thing with Tasha, funny thing that wasn't mentioned. She picks Fernando. Fernando goes up the steps, frickin' trips. And she's like, let me start that over. I think I made a mistake.
A lot of people would say Sterling is their all-time favorite chef. I'm not one of those people. In fact, I don't even think Sterling would make my top 10. He's close, I admit, but he's not quite there yet. The main reason for that is that there are a few times I found him grating. Again, I love Sterling, and this is more of a nitpick than anything, but there's times where I kind of wish he didn't get as much screen time as he did.
Fair.
I like to see other chefs like Sade so I can hear some snarky commentary, or Santos so he can remind me that he was a black jacket, or Fernando so I can remember he exists. I'll be honest, Sterling kind of feels like he exists at the expense of the other chefs.
Yeah.
It's not his fault, and again, it's a nitpick at best, but it's really telling that when Sterling goes, I found myself really interested in the Black Jackets because the cast got so much more interesting, and found the final few episodes the best of the season. But yeah, even with that nitpick, it's not gonna harm Sterling in the slightest. He earned this #1 spot. 100%.
Yep.
And there we go.
You're
Every
done the
chef of
season now,
Hell's
sir.
Kitchen Season 13 ranked. And man, was it a painful one. Not anywhere near as bad as Season 11, if only because this season had far more chefs I outright liked, but that's really just a sign of how low the bar is. There were so many chefs that were forgettable, bland, kind of annoying, and it took over 20 minutes to get to someone I liked. I think the biggest problem with this season is that a lot of the personalities blended together in a way that makes it so that barely anyone sticks out save for the most obvious ones. It made it so that I had to nitpick to determine who I liked more, and even then, I don't know if I was too harsh or too generous with some of them. Now, does that mean I dislike this season? No, not at all. As much as I found it rough to get through, it's ultimately a pretty middling season that has brought up a
I mean, I'd rather watch a season that's kind of forgettable versus a season that's frickin' trash.
bit by the few chefs I do like, and as such, I don't have the same dislike for it as I do for Season 11. That being said, this cast and this season is not going to be one I look back on too fondly. Except Sterling and Frank, my two beloved. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the final rankings.
Half the people
of
in
Season
D, here we
13.
go. Jeez. Okay, to be fair, that's actually a lot better than I thought.
And that's our list. A lot of D-tier chefs, at least one C-tier, but a solid amount of B-tier. Sterling and Frank practically dominate the S-tier though, so that's fun to see. Anyway, that'll be it for me. If you like this video and want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Eternal Possum, out.
My name is Sterling. Risotto right now?
Everybody, bounce up. Come on, Sterling.
Look how you're including this at the end.
Risotto, hot, hot, hot.
Risotto, how long?
I'm right on risotto. Risotto, capellini, I'm hot.
11. Next thing you know, we'll be at 7.
No.
So powerful.
The hell? Hope you guys enjoy this little reaction. I'll see you guys for the next video. Later.